Hi, welcome to the Spiritual Awakener. I'm Susan Kennard, and this is a podcast that I created to interview and talk to people that have had turning points in their life or a spiritual awakening that's led them to be someone amazing in the world. You know, you've had a spiritual awakening, you've had turning points in your life, but you might not have realized that it actually happened. When I speak to my guests, I talk to them about how their life changed when they actually had that light bulb moment. So if you've had a spiritual awakening or a turning point in your life that you'd like to share with my audience, please find me on The Spiritual Awakener, iTunes, and whatever platform you find yourself listening to this on, or my website, susankennard.co.uk. So I'm really pleased to be here today with my guest, Linda. Linda, thanks so much for being on The Spiritual Awakener. And would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. Thank you for inviting me. I feel quite honoured. My name's Linda Smith. I am a businesswoman. I have a scientific side where I want proof of everything.
Me.
Yeah.
Kindred spirits, Linda.
Yeah, I think so. And I still run several businesses, and I've gone into hypnotherapy and another therapy that helps heal us in this lifetime now. I've gone through many things in my life, as many people have.
Yeah.
And I think my awakenings have been nudges throughout the years.
Yeah.
And the biggest nudges were in my darkest of times.
And we find that, don't we? You know, the darkest times, if you're listening to this and you're maybe having a dark time at the moment, or you've recently had one, or someone around you has had a dark time, those are the times, aren't they, where we kind of go, not perhaps at that time, but a little bit after, oh my goodness, I get it. Yeah, so carry on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think my biggest awakening was when I'd put myself and my children in a very vulnerable, dangerous situation within a relationship with somebody.
Wow.
And my father had died several years before. And I have always been a cynic. I've always very much wanted to believe, but then thought, oh, this is a load of rubbish, it doesn't exist. And I know now that was my fear.
Yes. Yeah.
And I can remember I was in a very dangerous, volatile situation.
Wow.
And I can remember not even having the energy to get up the stairs. Something was helping me move and get up those stairs and break free from that space I was in.
Wow.
Lock myself in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And I looked out the window, and this voice in my head, which was my father's voice, said, "You've got to get out now. You have got to make a change, take control, and get this energy out of your life now."
Wow. And how old were your children, Linda, then?
My son was about 11, and my son was 14, one of my daughters was 11, and my other baby that I had with this person was only a year old.
Wow. Yeah, and you know, if you listen to episode 1 of this podcast, you'll hear a lot of my story, my spiritual awakening, but I don't mention too much about the relationship I was in, but I really hear you because mine were babies at the time, and I made that decision for different reasons, but I really hear you. And I'm sure there are many people in this situation right now that are listening to this podcast that have been drawn to listen to your conversation, Linda, that this is really going to help them. So yeah, carry on.
Yeah. But even though I knew that happened to me afterwards, I was still in conflict. I had those little niggly voices in my head saying, oh yeah, but maybe that was my subconscious saying that. Maybe I was dreaming, my dad said that. But it didn't really matter because whatever it was, flipped my life around. It gave me power, and I got out, and then it gave me the power to change my life. And I've home studied neuroscience, how the brain functions, how the mind functions ever since.
Wow. Yeah.
And then years later, I met you, Susan, at the Battle Speakers.
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters. Sorry, Toastmasters.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, so Toastmasters is an international speaking organisation. So that's where I kind of started my speaking journey. Yeah.
And I think that was about 16 years ago. It was a long time ago. And
well, it wasn't as long as that, because I
it?
think I've been with Toasties about 7 or 8 years. So maybe you went before, but then perhaps you revisited, did you? Because it was about 8 years ago, I think.
Oh, maybe, sorry, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But I remember being drawn to you. We didn't know each other. You were on a separate table and you were with somebody. I felt there was something not quite right there, but you were so professional. You are so professional, and you came up to me and introduced yourself to me and gave me one of your cards. And at the time, you'd been working in children's services, but at that time you were working with ex-military.
Oh yeah, the veterans. I worked with veterans of
yeah, that's right. And at that time, and that really fascinated me.
Yeah.
And then I didn't go back to Toastmasters. I had quite a lot going on in my life at the time.
Yeah.
But then we connected again through somebody else.
Yeah.
Where you helped my daughter.
Yeah.
I actually brought her to your home.
Yes. Wow. Yes, I remember.
And came into your home.
Okay. Yeah.
And at the time, I felt such a love energy in your home, but I still ran away from it. I was still scared.
Yeah.
To open up to it because I've been controlled. I know now I've been controlled by other people, and I was scared of being controlled by something I cannot see.
Yeah.
I cannot prove.
Yeah.
And I was just scared. But gradually I've been opening up.
But your daughter as well, you noticed a big change in her quite quickly.
Oh, huge.
So because of that, I think that when these things happen, you know, it's almost like a stepping stone, isn't it, to trusting and believing. And when people start to transform and heal their lives very quickly, you can see that it's not, you know, there has to be something in our mind, body, soul connection. You know, it's not just about talking, is it?
No.
It's a lot more than that. It's energetic. Yeah.
Absolutely. And since then, I have gradually opened up so much that I've even opened up more than my daughter.
Yeah.
Which is saying something.
Yeah.
And I've been a hairdresser for many years. I have businesses and I don't work on the floor anymore, but I've counselled people without knowing it.
Exactly. We said that. I remember when we met, it was like, you know, actually hairdressers are counsellors, really. You know, anybody who works in service of any kind, beauticians, you know, hairdressers, they are counsellors, really, because you had to listen, didn't you? You listened to people's, not just about the holidays, but about their troubles in their life and
their life story, their heartfelt life story. But what I didn't know how to do was to protect myself from their pain, because I realise now I'm an empath, so I would take that pain on. But I've learned since, and I became a teacher, qualified teacher, and I opened an academy, and I've now gone into hypnotherapy and therapy. And I knew that my mission has always been to help others and be of service to others. But you popped up again, either at YouTube or somewhere you popped up, and I thought, Susan, I need Susan, because I need to know I am going in the right direction for sure.
So was that the mission reading that we did?
Before that, I think it was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I joined something Sparkle
to Success.
Sparkle to Success. Now that resonated because I thought business success. That's the bit I thought, right, okay, I think I can get into opening up even more here.
And that really works with, you know, the inner child and those parts of us that stand out and say, oh, I couldn't possibly do that, and many other aspects. But that's a really good way, isn't it? Sparkle to Success, really good way.
It was amazing. That really changed my life.
Yeah.
And changed my perception and outlook, because at the end of our final session, I don't know what prompted, well, obviously your guides must have prompted you. You told me that I was going to give 3 readings, one to you and one to 2 other people on that group. And I said to you, Susan, you are having a laugh.
I can't even remember that.
No, I said, you're having a laugh. I don't do that. I don't do readings. I've only ever had 4 readings in my whole life. and kept an open mind. Do I believe? Don't I believe? And now you're asking me to do, and I did it. And you just said to me, breathe, connect to your light, connect to your guides.
Yeah.
Don't think about anything, just say it. And I did. And what I gave you resonated with all of you. And then you told me, hang on, connect again, because I just want to ask you a few questions about marriage.
At that time. Wow.
And you really gave me the courage, I think, then to start, and confidence to start talking about this to other people.
Yeah.
And then I had my bespoke mission
reading
with you, and it confirmed I am on the right path, and I've opened up more and more, joined your healing group, which is amazing.
Oh, the mediumship one, the connecting with your guides and mediumship, and the monthly group call, actually.
The monthly group call, yeah. I'm going to join the mediumship, because I still feel very new to this, even though for years.
Well, I think the thing is that what's happened with you is you've just completely transformed. It's almost like changing a religion, isn't it? When people are they're listening to them, perhaps listening to this, and they're like, oh, I kind of want to hear a bit more about this spiritual awakening. What is spiritual awakening, right? So they found your interview because they would have been guided to it. And so if you're listening to this and you've got any doubts about it, it's okay to have doubts. And it's really, I'm a spiritual scientist. I like to have evidence for everything. So basically, I think it's really important to question. I think, and especially the world, don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everything you see, and definitely don't believe everything you see on the news, right? Really go within. And I think this is the key, isn't it? That you did that. Like, you went on the journey. You're still on it. We're all on it, right? We're still all learning, and we don't actually get it done. As was the point of being here. But you've been on that journey, and you've come from all those amazing qualities of the business stuff that you did, and now you're bringing it all into this beautiful holistic way of working. So tell us a bit about that, Linda, and how you are of service.
Yes, well, RTT is Rapid Transformational Therapy, which was created by Marissa Peer, who has been voted the top therapist of the UK, and she's got a lot of clients that are A-listers, royalty and what have you. Yeah. She's a very grounded person who hasn't forgotten who she is.
And I love that because it's, we've all come from somewhere. And I always say I've written it in my book, like I'm a girl from a tiny village in the UK, in the southeast. We live in a very close, we're near each other, aren't we, in the southeast, and that's who we were, and that's okay, because that's really important, and Marissa's the same, like where she came from and what she experienced is what is who, part of who she is. It's important to stay there with that, actually.
Absolutely, because then you can give more. So RTT, what it does, it works with your subconscious mind. So it can heal phobias, it can help with confidence, self-esteem, it can help with cell generation in your body, it can help with so many things, and it's quick, rapid.
How does it work, Linda? So everyone's thinking, right, what is this? How does it work?
Yeah, well, what you do, you get your client into a state of hypnosis, which is really like a meditative state. It's not anything scary, and you're in full control.
Relaxed, essentially.
Relaxed, absolutely relaxed, in control. But we tap into your subconscious that finds the cause of your issue. We'll regress to 3 scenes, and it's normally the 3rd scene that is the real cause of your issue. And we deal with that cause, and we get rid of the association with that. It's no longer serving you, and it's then reframed. And you get a recording that you listen to for 21 days, because you're reframing, you're making a new habit, which is a healthier habit, which goes into your subconscious, which actually drives us, doesn't it? Our subconscious is driving us.
And 21 days is interesting, isn't it? I mean, I know that Erickson talks about the 7, the lucky 7, and Erickson, from my old psychology days, talks about when you say something 7 times, it goes from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. So with the 21, I love the 21 because it's like, actually, yeah, if you're doing that for 21 days, you're going to get into a new way of being, aren't you? Yeah.
Your neural pathways and everything.
Yes. Yeah.
And the recording, I try and keep them to 20 minutes, no more. And it's a nice thing to do twice a day if you can, first thing in the morning, especially last thing at night.
Yeah.
And it's relaxing, but it's giving you positive messages to remind you.
It's positive. So if somebody's, so I know that when I worked with vets, I used EFT at the time and meditation, etc., and visualization. So essentially what we're trying to do is help people to release that causal point, and not replace it, but kind of make a new thought about it, a new perception about it. Is that right?
Yes, and understand it. And even for people that have been abused as children, you know, you can dialogue with your hurter under hypnosis in a healthy way, and it's giving people back their power.
And that is the key. And especially, you know, in this time of Great Awakening, and we're recording this on the 21st of April 2020. So if you're listening to this later or years later even, this was a time that we're all going through, which is a massive awakening. And more than ever, the time is to really come into your own power and your own inner knowing, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So how can people get hold of you? You know, that, like, do you have a website? Do you have, how can people contact you?
Yep. If you tap in Change Your Life with lindasmith.com.
Change Your Life with lindasmith.com.
That's my website. If you tap in Facebook, Change Your Life with Linda Smith, you'll get me up on Facebook.
So it's great you've got the same name. That's brilliant.
And Instagram. Email info@lindasmithchangeyourlife.com.
Yeah, brilliant. So those are all places that people can get hold of you. And so if somebody wanted to just have a chat with you, Linda, and just to say, well, what, you know, how is this going to work for me? Do you offer something where you could have like a 15-20 minute chat with someone?
Absolutely, yeah. They'll go onto my website, they'll click on the link to email me, I will call them, and we'll have a free 20-minute consultation and a chat. And to see where we go from there. And if it's something I don't think I can help them with, I'll certainly send them to the people that I think can.
Exactly. And that's what we do, don't we? So we signpost people if it doesn't feel like it's a fit, or if they feel, actually, that isn't kind of what I want to do, but thanks for talking to me if you've got somebody else that does something.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's really important in our work, is that, you know, firstly, there's no competition in abundance, but secondly, people are a match, aren't they?
Absolutely.
And before we started recording this, we set the intention with our guides, with the universe, that the people that are a match to listening to this will find it. And that's what we wanted to do. And so it's really important that if you feel drawn to Linda, if you feel drawn to her energy, there's a reason why you're drawn to her energy. So just go ahead and contact her on her email. Say it again, Linda.
Linda Smith. Sorry, Change Your Life with lindasmith.com.
Yeah, so Change Your Life, we won't forget that one, with lindasmith.com. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
So Linda, just carrying on a little bit here. So what sort of scenarios? So you said about people that have been abused as a child. What else?
If I could give you an example of a story of Mercy Peers, really, and it's just a simple little story. She had a guy come to her who was absolutely petrified of the sound of drums.
Wow, yeah.
And he had met this young lady who was in a band, and he couldn't go and watch her or hear her because he was so scared of the sound of drums.
Wow, yeah.
And when he was regressed, it came up that he was in his mother's womb in Zimbabwe, and men were at the door with machetes. do what they do.
Yeah.
And his mother had ran and hid in a cupboard under the sink in the bathroom. And he could hear her heart pounding while he was in the room.
Wow.
Obviously, they survived, but the memory that he wasn't even aware of, we don't know what is causing it half the time. We really don't know.
Isn't it? That fight or flight freeze response that was happening at that moment, and the sound.
Yeah, and he was in the room. And once they'd cleared that, once he understood what it was, and then reframed it, it's nothing to be scared of. And he's absolutely fine now. And there are many, many stories that are amazing, really. And we've got the power to change our life.
I think definitely. I mean, working with vets years ago now, I don't so much work with them, although if they came into my experience, I absolutely would work with them. But I remember things like people couldn't have doors shut. They couldn't have, if they heard like fireworks, and that still happens now, you know, fireworks go off and people that have served are absolutely terrified, and it takes them back to that flashback of that moment when they were under attack or whatever. And we know 100% that that can change. So whatever you've experienced in your life, you know, you might be listening to this because you feel that you need some help and support, but whatever you've experienced in your life, absolutely, it doesn't have to define you. You can actually release it and let it go. Yeah.
Absolutely.
From cellular level, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Vibrationally, we are soul, you know, having a human experience, and that vibration is held within every part of our body. So the cells, our mind, you know, and we're talking about that, aren't we? We're talking about how that imprint is held. And I love talking about what's happening in the world, in the sense of our own world, and what we are attracting back into our experience. And that really is like a mirror.
Oh, yes, so, our thoughts become us. Our thoughts become us. And this spiritual work that I'm now opening up to, I want to use this to help guide me with my RTT, with my therapy, to really, really get to help people even more than I would have done perhaps without that spiritual awakening.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, I always feel so humbled when I speak to people. You know, that's why I created this podcast, because I had a couple of spiritual awakenings, big ones. And I'm like, well, I was a normal person. I am a normal person and an everyday person. And it transformed my life into working with people and helping people heal themselves, as it has you. Yeah. And so I would like to say to anyone listening to this, you know, you are very, very special. You have a very, very important mission to be here at this time. And, you know, we're all the same, really. You know, we're all here to help find unconditional love within ourselves and be of service to others. And listen to this podcast, listen to Linda talking, listen to her telling you her story of how she spiritually awakened and how now she helps the collective. So, Linda, any last words that you'd like to say to anyone listening?
I'd just like to say, if anybody is struggling out there, no matter what their beliefs are, please reach out to somebody, because there is always somebody there to help you. We are never alone, and believe that you are never alone, because that will give you strength.
That's so beautiful, and I can really feel that coming from your heart. So thank you so much for being a guest. Thank you for everyone listening. I really appreciate you listening. You are the ones that keep this podcast going. So please listen to all the episodes that you feel drawn to, rate and review them. If you've got a spiritual awakening story that you want to share with me and my listeners, I would so love to have you. So please contact me at susankennard.co.uk, and my email is susan@susankennard.co.uk. Much love for now, and see you on the next episode of The Spiritual Awakener.